Hello, hello everyone. I hope you are having a wonderful day today. We're going to give a few people just a little bit of time to jump in before we get started today. Hello, hello everybody. Okay. So, today we are going to do part 2 of our bead embroidery. I've got Jason Casper who is going to help me to answer any questions today that are repeat questions, so you guys don't have to hear them 30 times. I have my phone turned off, and you hopefully will only hear the door dinger once because Sammy's going to have to leave probably in the middle of my video. So hopefully all will be quiet today. We will see. I hope that you did your homework yesterday. Your homework was to come up with what you wanted to do and go ahead and have it on your beadwork. So I wanted to go ahead and kind of get started so we would be on a good time frame today. As you see, I've gone through, I'm going to outline my whole bird in black. So I wanted to make sure that my lines were in the black so you could see them there really well. I also wanted to share a few fun things before we get started. I got this wonderful email from Andrea Finch, and she wanted to kind of pass along a tip for a colored background for bead embroidery. She said, I'm fairly new to bead embroidery. Let's see, I never liked the white background, so I take a thin cotton fabric that complements my beads and glue it to my backing using a thin layer of tacky glue. If it starts to fray too much while beading, you can use fray check on the edges. So she's sent me some photos here that you can kind of see. So here she used a blue fabric to put behind, and you can see where she has left open spaces in her design, and you actually see the blue part. She also said that she did the blue on this background, and then she sent one of this one that she had completed. So Andrea Finch, thank you so much for all of these because it's really, really, really helpful for that. Also, I wanted to let you know I got a comment yesterday that I thought was really helpful from this new friend in Belgium. And we were talking about hoops, and she says, we use hoops on a stand so we can work with two hands, one above the hoop and one under the hoop. One hand receives the needle and one gives the needle. It's a technique we're taught in class. Also, when it's not felt used for the surface, you get a certain tension to make the embroidery more neat. As well, it gives the possibility when you want to use sequins to fill your figure, you can use beside the needle embroidery. So I thought that was really neat as well because we were talking about people who use those embroidery hoops. So there are two really, really neat things that came out of yesterday. So for today, I'm going to be using a yellow bead here, and I'm going to be using black thread because I want you to be able to see the lines that I'm going to use. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to draw kind of a semi-straight line here on my piece so that you can see the line there. And I want to show you like a back stitch. And so basically what you can do, you can either put a knot in the very end of your thread, or you can just hang on to that thread, okay? Whatever you want to do, I'll try to start both ways so you guys can see it. But I'm going to put a knot into the work here. And then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to trim that tail a little bit. So like I said, I'm going to show you a couple of different ways today, okay? So I'm using just one needle, and I'm going to come up through the foundation from the back of the foundation. Okay, so normally in back stitching, we'll pick up two beads. We drop these two beads down. Now you can see, and I've done it specifically in black because I want you to be able to see the thread. We want to push these beads all the way back. Okay, and then we're going to take the needle and we're going to go down through the foundation right past that second bead that we add. And hello to everyone who's popping in today. Okay, so you see it looks like this. Now I'm going to take the needle and I'm going to come up through the foundation. Again, I want to come right on that line, and I'm going to come right before the first bead that I thread on. And then I'm going to go through those 2 beads again. Okay, I'm going to kind of put my finger there and pull that thread straight out just like this. Okay, so then I'm going to pick up 2 more of my 11s. Okay, I'm going to, you can see I'm holding the thread straight out the way I want it to be, the line to be. I'm going to push these beads back, and then I'm going to take my needle and I'm going to go straight down through the foundation right after the second bead that I just added. And I'm going to pull the thread through. Okay, now I'm going to count back 3 beads, 1, 2, and 3. And I'm going to take my needle and I'm going to come up through the beadwork right there between that first and second bead. And then I'm going to go through these 3 beads again and pull it through. Okay, so this is called back stitching. Again, I'm going to pick up 2. I'm going to hold it straight out the way I want it, the line to go. I'm going to make sure my beads are pressed all the way up against it here. And then I'm going to take the needle and I'm going to go right down through the foundation right after that second bead that I just added. I'm going to pull this on through. Okay, and again, I'm going to count back 3 beads. So 1, 2, and 3, and I'm going to come up through the beadwork right before that 3rd bead. I'm going to pull this through, and then I'm going to go through those 3 beads. Okay, and you see my thread got caught right here. So I'm going to take my needle and I'm going to grab a hold of that thread, lift it up, and then pull that thread. So you can see you are beading straight in the line, exactly like what we want. So this is why I suggested to go ahead and draw out. So that way, if you are going to outline your piece first, you can get some nice straight lines. Okay, I'm going to do this one more time, doing this little back stitch here. So 2 beads. Each time I pick up 2 beads. You can pick up more, but I find that when I pick up more beads, it tends to make my line not as straight or where I want it. So I just do 2 beads at a time. Okay, pull this through. Okay, I'm going to count back 3 beads, 1, 2, and 3. Come up right before that 3rd bead. And then I'm going to go through those 3 beads again. Nadine Smith, when you go back down, do you go through the thread or beside it? You do not want to pierce your thread. You want to try and go right in next to it, because if you mess something up and you need to take some beads out, if you pierce that thread, what's going to happen is it's going to make a big old mess. So you don't want to pierce the thread. But you can see here I have a nice straight line. Now this works really good up until the point to where if I want to curve this line, okay? So let's say I want to put a curve here like this. When I put in my 2 beads, Okay, you can see that it doesn't actually start to curve too well. So if I put my 2 beads on and go down through, okay, then I count back the 3, 1, 2, 3, and I come up through, go through these 3 beads here. Okay, and then I pick up my next 2 beads. You're going to start to see that I've got some thread that's going to start showing. Okay, so you can see here, it's not making a pretty curved line. Okay, so I'm going to do just a couple more so you can kind of see that backstitch, even though you can do it, it just doesn't seem to make as pretty of lines, because you can see here it's kind of making almost a V shape here with my beads, so it's not a nice fluid line. Okay, but I do want you to see that you can do this backstitch to do your curves. It just, you don't get as nice of curve. So see, instead of making a nice curve, it almost looks more like a little tree branch. Okay, so I want to show you, I'm going to finish this little stitch here, and then I want to show you a different way that you can do this. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to tie this thread off. So how I'm going to tie it off is I'm going to come under the thread here of a piece I've already done. And then I'm going to leave a little loop here, and I'm going to take the needle and I'm going to go through that little loop and pull that thread. I'm going to do it again. Okay, then I'm just going to kind of do a little zigzag and go under a couple of these threads before I trim it off. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and trim that piece of thread. Okay, so this is doing the back stitch. Now I want to show you another stitch that's pretty neat. It's called a couch stitch. You see it a lot in Native American beadwork. It helps you to be able to get really nice straight lines. So to do this, what you want to do is when you thread your needle, you're going to have, so you can do 2 needles or you can do 1 needle. I'll show you both techniques. So on the first technique, which is, well, yeah, I'll show you the 2 needle technique first. You want to get your needles or your threads here even. Okay, it's taking me just a minute here. Let me get them even, get my needle in the center without making a hot mess here. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to wax this just a little bit. Now you can use your Thread Heaven. You can use whatever you have, your beeswax, whatever. And I'm going to wax it just a little. And then I'm going to knot this end down here. And again, I'm just going to trim those little pieces. Okay, so I have 1 needle that has a doubled thread to it. Okay, now I'm going to take another needle and it's going to be a single thread. Get my needle threaded here. Okay, and again, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put a little knot here in the bottom. And I'm going to show you in a minute. Please don't fret. I'm going to show you if you don't want to do the knot version, I'm going to show you another way that you can do your beadwork here without having those knots. Okay, so let me draw another semi-straight line here. And we'll do a curve off so you can see. Okay, so I'm going to start off with my doubled thread. And I'm going to come up through the foundation at the bottom. Roxanne says, I read that if you don't have wax that you can use chapstick. I've never heard that, Roxanne, but I mean, heck, it wouldn't hurt trying, that's for sure. Okay, so in couch stitch, instead of picking up 2 beads at a time, you can pick up a line full if you wanted to. I'm going to pick up 8 beads. So 2, 4, 6, 8. Okay, wow, I don't know if I could ever do that again. Okay, so my 8 beads, and for now, I'm going to just kind of stick that needle with the double thread down into my mats. You can even take it if you want to, and you can stick it into your beadwork. Okay, whatever feels comfortable for you. But that is my doubled thread. Okay, so this is 1 thread right now, doubled. I have it laying on that line. And I'm going to hold the beads in place here, and I want to kind of keep them nice and tight. Now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take my other needle, and I'm going to count 2 beads up, and I want to take the single thread, and I'm going to come up through the foundation right next to that singled thread. Okay, so I'm going to be working right there. So I'm going to come up through the foundation, and then I'm going to take my needle and I'm going to come right down through the foundation on the other side, okay? And so what's going to happen is when I do that, boom, that is going to hold and tack this doubled thread in place, okay? And I'm actually, just because all of this is kind of getting in my way, I'm going to cut it a little bit here so I don't have all of this in my way as I show you. Okay, and you want to try and keep your beads tight up against each other as you do it. And again, from where I just tacked this, I'm going to come up 2 beads. I'm going to come in between those 2 beads, okay, with my single thread, keeping the beads pulled down. And I'm going to come down through on the other side. And when you pull that thread, make sure it goes in between the 2 beads you want it to go through. Okay? And again, just keep this thread kind of tight. Okay, I'm going to count up 2 more beads. I'm going to try to come up through right next between those 2 beads there. And then I'm going to come down through the thread or the piece here on the other side so that when you pull it, you want the thread to go in between the 2 beads there. Okay. So I've gone through, or I've got tacks in between all of my little beads here. So now I'll go ahead and I'll take this other thread that I had started. Okay, and I'm going to pick up some more beads. I'm not really going to count them. I'm just going to pick them up. You can use any size bead. West Water Woman says, what size beads are good to use? Any size, honestly. Completely up to you. Okay, so you can see here, I want to make a little bit of a curve. So you can kind of use your thumbnail to do this with. It works really, really good to let your finger kind of be where you need it for the curve, okay? So you can see that my fingernail here is going to make that nice curve like I want it to. You can also see that this bead right here, or that thread, got a little loose. I can grab a hold of it and tug it back down, and it will make it nice and tight for me again. So again, I'll count up 2 beads. I'll come through between two of my beads here. And then I come down through the other side of them. And again, I'm not tacking the beads in place, I'm tacking that thread in place. So I wanted you to see, I did this so you could see, if you come too far out, you're gonna see that thread right there, okay? So you wanna make sure that you don't come too far out, that you try to get as close to the two beads as you possibly can, okay? So again, I'm gonna come between my two beads right here. Every two beads I'm going to tack in place. And I'm going to take my needle and I'm going to come down through on this side. Now, you obviously would be using a white thread and not a black thread. I'm using the black thread because I want you to be able to see the stitches, okay? And again, I'm going to show you just a couple little more here. And it doesn't matter if you come up on this side or on this side of the needle. It really does not, or of the thread. Just as long as you're coming up one side and down the other side. Okay, and you want to keep those threads kind of tight and the beads tight down so that you can see it a little bit better. Okay, and again, guys, Jason Casper is helping me answer repetitive questions today, or he's highlighting questions that I may not see because my thread, you know, I've got my eyes on my beadwork, so just be aware of that. So when you finish, you can see now that the two needle technique makes a little bit of a better curve for you rather than the single here with the back stitching. Now, again, you can see my threads because I've specifically used the black thread because I wanted you to be able to see what you were doing or what I am doing. And I wanted you to be able to see if you come out too far on each side, you'll see the thread. Okay, so just be aware of that. Now, when I get to the end here, say this thread is getting too short, all I'm going to do is come down through the foundation. Okay, and then get rid of both those threads like I need to. Okay, and just because I am doing this just for demonstration, I'm just going to tie these two threads together here. And you can absolutely do that. Again, I'm using a size 11 seed bead, but you can use any size bead that you would like, okay? Again, I'm going to go ahead and cut those. Okay, so this was the, oh gosh, what was this? The back stitch. This was the couch stitch with two needles. Now, I want to show you how to do it with one needle. I know for me, I'm not 100% great one needle technique. And I'm going to show you without putting a knot in the end of the thread. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the thread, and again, I'm just going to draw me another little line over here so you can see it. Okay, I'm going to come up through the foundation, and if anybody has a question, like you've just jumped on, you did not see part 1, you can go back to yesterday's video where I showed about the different stitches and or the different types of thread you can use, beads you can use, all of that different kinds of stuff. So if you did not see that video, it would be a great reference to go back and watch that video. Okay, so for now, I'm going to take and I'm going to hold the thread on the back. You can see I'm not going to make a knot or anything. I'm just going to hold that thread. Now I'm going to go ahead and I am going to thread on my amount of beads that I want to thread on. And then I'm going to take my needle and I'm going to come down through the beadwork after that last bead. Okay, if you lost audio or you say you have buffering, you may want to log out and log back in to the video or to the live. So when you do this, be careful not to let this thread go, okay? Now, I come down through on the other side. Now this is using just the single needle, okay? And again, I'm going to possibly get it. Okay. Keeping everything tight. And then again, up through my 2 beads here, down through the 2 beads here. Okay. So when you do that, now you can see the difference between the 3. You have the back stitch, you have the couch stitch with 2 needles, and you have the straight line, okay, with the couch stitch. So, okay, I don't know what to tell everybody. Some people are saying that they're having no problem. Some people are saying it's working. So all I can say is hopefully it will be all clear on the replay. So this is the 3 different stitches there. So that way you can kind of decide which one you want to do. So I'm actually going to start on my piece. And a lot of people in Russia, Estonia, the Ukraine, they start out the same way, okay? They will go through and they will stitch around the whole thing, and then they fill in everything, okay? So that's what I'm going to do on this specific one. If you, I'll try to show a different way tomorrow, so that way you'll have that info as well. So I'm just going to clip my thread here. You want to start with a thread that is long enough for what you can work with. I don't ever use more than 2 yards of thread when I am doing this, because it tends to me, if I use more than 2 yards, it tends to kind of mess up and I get a big mess. Now, I'm not one to get upset about having a knot on the back of my piece. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put that knot in there. And I think I'm going to outline with black. So I just want to show you kind of how you'll get started if you are wanting to outline your piece. So I'm actually going to start here at the top of my bird. And again, I've made a black line because I'm going to outline in the black. The Betty Boop says, I like to use French wire on the outer edge. I still have to get some. Yes, absolutely. And I'm hoping that my French wire comes before the end of the week so I can show you guys that. But shipping everywhere right now is kind of, behind for everybody. So hopefully I can show you. If not, hopefully I can show you the French wire next week as well. That's a different kind of cool technique. And again, I'm going to go ahead, and I don't need all of this, so I'm going to go ahead and cut this out. I have never heard of French wire. Okay, so that's awesome. So I will be able to explain French wire to you guys for those of you who've never heard it. So you wax your thread more than once as you stitch, or just the beginning. I just wax it when I need it, honestly. Have to go, just burn dinner. Oh no, Fanny, I hope that you can get dinner salvaged. Okay, so I'm going to do the single needle couch stitch. So I have put on my beads here. I want it to be just a little bit curved, so I'm going to put my thumbnail here to help curve it as I work. And I'm going to take my needle and I'm going to go down through the foundation right there on the line. And I'm going to pull the thread through. Okay, so right now I have a straight line. Remember, I want it just a little bit curved. So I'm just going to kind of put my finger here. And this is where I'm going to start. I'm going to come up between my first 2 little beads here. And you want to try to get it as close to possible as you can there. and then I'm going to come down through the other side between those two beads. And I know this one's harder to see. That's why I did it in the yellow first, so you could see the technique of what I was going to be doing. Okay? Paula says, what material am I working on? Me specifically, I am working on Beading Foundation by the Beadsmith Company. If you have any questions about what you can, like what's good to bead on, what kind of thread, what needles, you may want to reference yesterday's video. I talked all about in Bead Embroidery Part 1, all about needles and threads and all that good stuff. Okay. And then, and you can grab every stitch if you wanted to. Every two is fine. Again, this is a lot of how the Native Americans do their beadwork is with this little couch stitch, and that's where I learned it. So you can see my line is just a little bit curved, and that's exactly what I want. I don't want it to be that straight line. So I will continue in this same stitch, and I'm actually going to outline my whole piece. Now, what I'm going to do, the stitches that I showed you, you can use these same stitches to fill in the areas of the body. So I'm going to outline him today. That's my homework. That's my goal for today, is to get him outlined. And then tomorrow I want to show you how I'm going to go in and I'm going to start filling in some of these sections. I will fill in some of the sections tomorrow, and then hopefully later on in the week, I'll show you a different technique as well. So another thing, once you kind of get your beads going, and I've got these beads put on, I'm going to take the needle and I'm going to come up through a couple of beads here, and I'm actually going to take my needle and I'm going to go through the last two beads. Okay, what if you want too many color beads? What if you want too many color beads to outline? Okay, and how the heck do you keep from sticking your thumb? I always stick my thumb. So one thing that you can do is you can put a, if you have a bigger one, a thimble onto your thumb, or you can put some tape, like painter's tape, around your thumb. That will help a lot. And let's see, what was that other one? What if you have too many colored beads to outline? Well, number one, you can outline with multiple colored beads. You don't have to do one color like I'm doing. I just want to outline him all in black, and then I'm going to go back and put the colors. If I was going to do, say, black here, and then I could do red here, you can do definitely some different ones, completely up to you. If you're doing a mix, you don't have to outline. You can get started in one section, and you can do these same stitches that I'm showing you, same exact stitches you can do to fill in these areas. So you say that you are going to do a heart, so you could do some different little, start somewhere in the heart and just start doing these same stitches. This is more that we'll talk about next week. Absolutely. Let's see. So will you outline completely in black? For me, Barbie, yes, I'm going to outline mine completely in black because that's what I want. I want an outline, and then I'm going to start filling in something. Let's just say, and so let me get a little piece here so I can show you, because I know I'm getting some questions about it. So let me see if I can get my lines a little darker here. Okay, so let's say I'm going to do a heart. Okay, and let me thread and let me find another needle here that I've got threaded so I can kind of show you guys. So if I'm going to do anything else, whether it's a heart or whatever I want to do, I'm going to, and say I don't want to edge it. I don't want to do anything like that. I'm just going to pick a place to start. So let's say I'm going to pick right here. Okay. And then I will just randomly grab my beads in whatever technique that you want to do, okay? And then you can just start filling in however you want to do. Completely up to you, because my lines don't have to be straight lines. I can do curved lines, I can do striped lines, I can do whatever I want. So it's really kind of what you want to do and how you want to think about it and get started. Me personally, like I said, I'm going to do the outline and then I'm going to fill in everything, just because I've never done it that way, me personally, and I want to give it a try. This is what a lot of our counterparts in Europe do. So I'm going to give it a whirl and see how it goes. Okay, now I'm just going to couch stitch just because that's what I'm starting to enjoy. That's how I'm enjoying doing some of my stitches here. Again, do what you want to. I see somebody has asked, would I consider right angle weave using 2 whole beads? All I can tell you guys is this. I started out, I only meant to do this for 2 weeks, and this is working on week 4. So I'm just going to kind of take it a day at a time. Okay, guys, I don't know what past this week. I don't know what we're going to do. Okay, somebody says, what do you do if you want to add stones? We are going to talk about that tomorrow or Thursday, because I want to show you guys, how to encase some different stones and how to add stones. Okay, so no worries there. I'm going to show you guys. So then if, say I just want to do stripes and I'm going to do all these different stripes, then I'll just come right next to where I was, and then I'm just going to start filling in. I can use different color beads. I can kind of do whatever I want. Your biggest thing, you want your lines to be close to each other. And so like this one right here, looks like I put a few too many beads on there. So I can just kind of slide off what I need. Get those off of there. Okay. Push my beads down and then put them in place. And again, if I was going to do this whole thing and say like yellow beads or a mixture of beads, I would actually take, and let me grab them here so I can show you. And the caged bead says, I think that stitch would work around glued on things better. So I'm hoping that I can show you guys, like I said, how to do that. But see, like this is a colored pencil, so I would take and I would just kind of fill in what I was doing in the yellow. So if I'm going to do this side of the heart yellow and maybe the other side black because I wanted a bumblebee look or something, I would take and color that in. These are just Crayola twistable crayons. I ordered these on Amazon for my little boy, and they actually came like a little art set type thing. How about that? They came and then Mama ended up using them rather than my son. But that's what those are. And I really, really enjoy them working with those. Now, I'm not going to tack this just because I want you to see really quick. This is not going to be any kind of piece that I finished. I'm just using this for demo. But it's just going to look so much better as you work, because you're not going to see, so you don't see the white underneath that yellow. So I hope that makes sense when I say you can color it. Now, also, I wanted to show you, like I said, if I was going to do multiple stripes of colors, again, I would take, so let's say on this side, I wanted to do, okay, twist the crayon here. Come on. Oh my goodness. There we go. I was going to say, evidently I can't. Okay, so like if I'm wanting to do multiple stripes of a color, so say I'm going to do like this stripe one color, and then I'm going to do another stripe in another color, you can take and you can actually stripe your pieces like this if you want to. Completely up to you how you do it. You're basically just kind of filling in. So then that way, you won't see so much white under your piece. Okay? So then you would just continue to fill in. So for those of you who were asking, I hope this makes a little bit more sense. So if you're not going to outline like I'm going to do here, and you just want to start filling it, then you just start filling it. And it's up to you whether you want to do curve stitches, because I could start here and I could curve the stitches and do a little curve type thing. I can do them all straight up and down. I could do them sideways. So it's completely up to you, kind of how you decide to do your stitches. Hopefully, once I'm here tomorrow and I get all of this done, I can show you. Do you always fill in with straight lines, or do you ever curve them or make them circular? And again, Kristen, this is completely up to you. Completely up to you guys. You can do whatever you want. You can start in a circular motion, like a spiral if you want to. I can do, lines like this. I can do lines like this. It's really up to you and what you want to. Your biggest thing is we're just going to be playing to see what we can come up with. That's why I said, let's do a smaller piece first. Don't try to do a big, big, massive piece. And let me see if I can find, so I'll actually use Andrea's for a couple of examples here. So Andrea started out with a cabochon. And then you can see she's done like some curved lines here. She's done some lines this way. She's done lines like this with her bugle bead. She's done them straight out. So you can do different things. Don't ever, ever think that it has to be a certain way. Just like here, she's got lines you see that are going in like a semicircle. She's got lines that are going this way, that way. So it really just kind of depends. Okay. Same thing here. Outlined, completely outlined. So that will give you an idea. And Paula says Pinterest has a lot of finished projects. Will show different ways of stitching. Absolutely, Paula. Today I'm just trying to show complete basics on how to get started. Now I did want to show you guys one more. Let me find the little heart. You don't always have to make lines with just seed beads or anything like that. If you wanted to, you could come up on your line here. Now these are some size 6 Matubo seed beads that I got while I was in Prague. And I wanted to show you, if you wanted to, you could also take a bigger bead, and then you could take a smaller bead like this, drop them down. You could skip the smaller bead and go down through the larger bead so that it makes a little piece like this. And then again, I would just come up through the fabric or whatever I'm going to stitch on, grab my bead and my smaller bead. Okay, if you are adding a stone or a cab, do you add it first or can you add it last? I would add it first if it were me. You can add it later on, but I would probably add it kind of first and figure out what I want to do. And again, I will show you guys how to do that this week, because that is something that you definitely want to learn and know how to do. So you can see, even just doing something like this is fun to work with. And you can do all sorts of fun little things. You can use, what's the bead I'm thinking about? An O bead or a 0 bead to do this with, whatever you kind of want to do. But these are just fun other little things that you can do. You don't have to be stuck with just regular seed beads if you don't want to. Okay? So, just fun, easy little things that you can do there. Now, tomorrow, I tell you what, let me go ahead and flip the camera around so you guys can kind of see. So if you get motion sickness, just turn your head for one moment here while I move the camera around. There we go. Whoop. Okay, I'm a little bit wonky here. Let's see if we can get it straight. Okay, so here's basically, well, I'm gonna have to let this go here. Whoops, sorry guys. Okay, so here's basically my plan for tomorrow. My plan for me personally today is I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna outline my bird in the black. Then that way tomorrow I can show you how to actually fill in parts of the bird. Okay, I'm gonna show you how I would put like some different beads on there, some seed beads, all that kind of stuff. So you will be able to see that. The next day, my plan is to show you how to take a cabochon or a rivoli or whatever and how to bead around it. So I have a piece somebody gifted to me that I'm actually going to use to do the demonstration on, but you can use any type thing like that. So guys, I hope that this helped you a little bit today. Your homework for today is to kind of decide what you're going to do, if you're going to outline, if you're going to fill in, whatever you want to do. So that is your homework for today. So I hope you'll come back with me tomorrow to learn some more techniques on bead embroidery. Have a great day, guys. We'll see you later. Bye.